Chamber of Commerce, is that right?
Yes, I did that at lunchtime today. Of
Okay.
course, every time we're in Ganders, people always ask how Pete Susie is doing. And, of course, you have lots of memories in that community. I'm sure your name keeps coming up, Pete.
Hometown boy, yeah.
Sure.
Well, they've always been very active there with the Chamber of Commerce, and no surprise that they have you visiting to speak. What are they saying about the deficit, and what are you saying, I guess, more importantly, about the deficit? We know it was projected to be over $500 million. We suspect it's going to be much higher now, and that doesn't bode well for whoever's coming into power in the next general election, which could be as early as the spring.
Absolutely, Pete. There's no question. These are things that people in the province are concerned about, and rightfully so, because when we've been so reliant on oil and the oil revenues, and not only the royalties, but not only the royalties, but indeed the spin-off industries that generate, a fair amount of our corporate taxes and all the things that are associated with this are all impacted by the oil industry in the province, and, of course, the mining industry as well. So both those sectors right now are going through a rough spot. And, of course, people want to talk about that, and we did a fair amount about that. And, of course, we always go back to make sure that, whatever the budgetary commitments that we make, we have to make sure we get the best value for our money. And this group today was very engaged and had a lot of great ideas about how we generate new economic wealth within the province. And in particular today was, a lot of chat about central Newfoundland, about the fiber resource in and around Grand Falls, Windsor area, the pellet plant in Rensec. That came up after the I guess the speech that we gave to the Chamber of Commerce there. Lots of feedback. We spent actually about 40 minutes just in the question, which I always enjoy doing. We did a similar format last night with a different group, but it's a tremendously engaged group there today, and talking about the opportunities that they see in the central Newfoundland area.
It's not going to be a lot of fun for anybody who, as I say, is at the helm after the next election, potentially, given the way things are right now and the way they look, I suppose, for the near future. How do you be the responsible parent, dole out the tough love, and still keep people on your side? I mean, people oftentimes don't like bad news. They don't like to tighten their belts, do the prudent thing, even though it's necessary. How does a politician look at that in advance and say, well, there's a way to do it, and if people are going to be disappointed and upset, that's all there'll be to it?
Yeah, well, the big thing, of course, is you had to plan, and first of all, we've got to work through where we think the forecasts are taking us. And what we know is that in the past, and I really don't want to dwell too much on the past, but, at some point, anytime you're reliant on commodity pricing, you know that from time to time you experience downfalls in those industries. And this one is a little different, I will say, simply because of what's happening south of the border with the shale gas industry and what's happening in the U.S. I mean, who would have thought a few years ago that the U.S. would be an exporter, a net exporter on oil, and that will happen in the very near future, and the impact that that's having, not just on, what's happening here in Canada, but what's happening worldwide. Interesting, last night we saw in China, we saw a reduction in interest rates, and hopefully that will help, generate some more commodity activity here in Newfoundland and Labrador, especially around the mining sector, because, of course, they need right now a bit of an injection of obviously energy into that market as well. So, we're certainly hopeful that this is short term, but there's no question, if ever, I keep saying the easiest choice you have to make is when you have no choice. And what we have to do is just find whatever new sources of revenue that we can, and realizing that in some cases this is going to take a few years to do. But I know one thing, that people are looking to the group of great people that we're putting around us, around the Liberal Party is. And, my objective is to make sure that we give the voters in Newfoundland and Labrador a clear choice when they go to the polls in the next election. And that's what we're doing, out just engaging people and trying to find out where is it we can find 5 jobs there or 10 jobs there, and so on, and just continuing to build on the traditional industries that we have around the fishery, forestry, and agriculture, and so on. And there are many more opportunities, and we're not going to continue. I can tell you we'll leave no stone unturned when it comes to finding out where it is we can do some more job creation.
I think your candidate next time around in the Gander district is Dr. Haggie. And,
well known.
well known. He's been involved with the Medical Association, etc., and practiced in the province for a long time. Don't know exactly who he'll be up against, whether it will be Kevin O'Brien or not, but clearly you're looking to him, I suppose, to not only be successful, but perhaps bring something to the table in terms of the health care system in the province.
Absolutely. Dr. Hagee has a tremendous amount of experience, and, in healthcare in particular, that's where he spent his life. And, the man, when you look at it, he's getting involved in politics in Newfoundland and Labrador simply because he wants to make a difference. He's an absolute, gem of a man, and he's well loved. He's got a great reputation and highly respected in the Gander area, as you know. And certainly we're looking forward to, the impact and the influence and using his experience to shape healthcare policy. And we had a number of healthcare professionals, that we spoke to in the last 2 days, and they continue to say that what it means is we need to be talking to them, to the frontline people, the frontline workers, and that's what we started last summer. We're going to continue to do that. And I can tell you there's some great ideas on how we can actually we're not talking about healthcare cuts here, Pete. I want to make that quite clear. But what we are talking about is making the strategic investments in healthcare. We met with the Diabetes Association, the Canadian Diabetes Association, just this week. And, it's very clear that a diabetes registry, as an example, as a strategic investment, this is something that I've already made a commitment to. It's those types of investment that are focused on outcomes and deliverables, things that you can actually measure, that you'll get the best value for the money spent in healthcare.
Your most recent new member was brought into the House of Assembly today. That's Rex Hillier for CBS. You've got 2 more by-elections coming up. How are you feeling about those? And does the momentum seem to be continuing? Are you feeling good about your prospects?
Yeah, well, listen, that was the purpose of my call today, of course, was to congratulate, Rex Hillier. I wasn't able to make his swearing-in ceremony today at Government House. We've worked and campaigned with Rex, in CBS by-election. He did a fantastic job and is bringing a lot to the table already. We've seen that this week when he's, jumped into the discussion right away. I'll be campaigning in the Cornwall area tomorrow with Stelman Flynn, and we're certainly into that race, I can guarantee you. Stelman's a great candidate that, he's worked tremendously hard in the last, months going into this campaign. He's well prepared, and we will leave it in the hands of the voters in Humber East, just as we will with Steve Crocker in Trinity Bay de Verge. Steve's a great fellow. He's worked with me, and again, he's well known in that district. But, we'll leave it in the hands of the voters, encourage them to get out on Tuesday. But, of course, you know what? We'd love to win those districts, but, the voters have the last say, and we always respect that and their choice.
Mr. Ball, I appreciate your time today. We are out of time right now, but I would like to talk to you again soon, perhaps next week, and just see if there's anything you can fill us in on, or any any truth to the rumors we're hearing that there is some issues with the winterization plans at Muskrat Falls, and possibly an unavoidable delay in the works that could add up in terms of the final bill.
Absolutely, Pete. We should call in because there are a number of things I'd like to discuss with your listeners, and things around CETA. Of course, we haven't had that chat, you and I, yet about certainly the hospital in Corner Brook and the environmental liabilities that we see. I'm actually in Grand Falls, Windsor right now. The environmental liabilities around the old mill here that was expropriated some years ago. So all those are issues top of mind, of course, for us as the Liberal Party, and certainly on the minds of people in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah, and perhaps we can even touch on the announced courthouse, or the court building that the Premier was speaking about just recently. Anyway, we'll leave that till next time. I do appreciate your time, sir, and until then.
As always, Pete, you have a good weekend. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.